In a development that is once again drawing the eyes of Africa and the international community, Rwandan President Paul Kagame has reportedly sent a strong and carefully worded message to South African President Cyril Ramaphosa this morning. The message comes in the wake of Ramaphosa's controversial remarks referring to Rwandan-backed militias operating in conflict-ridden regions of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Kagame's response, which insiders say is both diplomatic yet unmistakably firm, highlights the rising tensions between Kigali and Pretoria, a relationship that has historically swung between cooperation and cold confrontation. The back and forth began last week when President Ramaphosa, speaking at a regional security briefing, referenced armed groups destabilizing the eastern DRC and allegedly linked them to external backing, including support from Rwanda. His words reverberated across the continent, triggering sharp reactions not only from Kigali but also from the wider East African community, where Rwanda remains a key player in regional security initiatives. According to Kigali-based sources, Kagame's latest message this morning did not shy away from directly addressing Ramaphosa's remark. In a tone described as measured but unyielding, Kagame is said to have told Ramaphosa that Rwanda will not be scapegoated for failures in regional security frameworks, and that simplistic narratives of militia backing ignore the deeply complex realities in the Great Lakes region. The Rwandan leader is said to have reminded Pretoria that Kigali has for years been on the front lines of fighting armed groups, including remnants of the genocidal forces that fled into Congo after 1994. Rwanda will not accept to be framed as the aggressor, the message reportedly read, when we have paid the highest price in blood and sacrifice for stability in the region. Political analysts see Kagame's message as part of a broader strategy to counter South Africa's growing criticism of Rwanda's regional posture. Pretoria, under Ramaphosa's leadership, has tried to reposition itself as a peace broker in Congo, deploying troops as part of the Southern African Development Community (SADC) mission. However, Rwanda views SADC's intervention with suspicion, arguing that it undermines the East African regional force already deployed. Observers note that the exchange of words is not merely about militias but about competing spheres of influence in Central Africa. While South Africa champions the SADC bloc, Rwanda wields significant influence in the East African community. The rivalry, though often subtle, is now spilling into public statements that risk escalating into diplomatic standoffs. This morning's message, insiders say, also touched on the history of cooperation between the two nations. Kagame reportedly reminded Ramaphosa of the times when Rwanda and South Africa worked hand in hand in peacekeeping and continental diplomacy. The Rwandan president urged Pretoria to choose dialogue over accusations and stressed that unity, not division, is what Africa requires to face both external pressures and internal conflicts. Nevertheless, Kagame's words carried an unmistakable undertone of warning. He is said to have pointed out that undermining Rwanda's reputation internationally would not only fail to solve Congo's crisis but could also backfire by weakening Africa's collective bargaining power on the global stage. The enemies of Africa benefit most when we turn our fingers against each other, Kagame allegedly told Ramaphosa. Reactions from South Africa have so far been muted. The presidency has not released an official statement in response to Kagame's new message, though insiders say Ramaphosa's office is carefully reviewing the wording before deciding whether to reply publicly or through quiet diplomacy. Analysts warn that Pretoria's next move will be crucial, as the wrong tone could worsen relations and risk open political fallout between two of Africa's most vocal leaders. Already, the African Union is said to be monitoring the situation closely. Diplomats fear that prolonged rhetoric between Kigali and Pretoria could weaken continental unity, especially at a time when the AU is under pressure to assert stronger leadership in resolving the Congo conflict. Meanwhile, within Rwanda, Kagame's stance has been praised as a sign of strength and dignity. Citizens interviewed by local media express frustration at what they see as unfair portrayals of Rwanda as the source of instability in Congo. "We know who the real aggressors are," one Rwandan citizen said. "President Kagame is right to defend us and our sacrifices. In South Africa, however, the reaction is mixed. Some political commentators have criticized Ramaphosa for recklessly poking Rwanda without a clear strategy, while others argue that Pretoria cannot remain silent on what they view as Rwanda's role in Congo. What is clear is that the latest exchange between Kagame and Ramaphosa signals a new chapter in African diplomacy, one where leaders are less inclined to sugarcoat their disagreements and more willing to confront each other directly, even in public view. Whether this morning's message will lead to a cooling of tensions or inflame them further remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the militia remark has ignited a diplomatic firestorm that neither Kigali nor Pretoria can ignore. The coming days will show if Ramaphosa chooses to double down, or if quiet diplomacy will prevail behind closed doors.